Discretion is advised.
Happy Monday, you're listening and or watching PWNCAST. This is episode 149. We are in patch 7.1.5. Tonight we are going to be talking about news from 7.2. We have lots of stuff to talk about. Developer Q&A brought some random things to the table. It was kind of a Q&A just of nothing specific, just random questions. Appropriately selected questions, of course. They never select the actual questions that we ask. PvP changes that were set to be for 7.2 were reverted and will not be implemented after a large situation that developed on the forums regarding player feedback, and basically they were like, no thank you. So we have that to talk about and much, much more, so make sure you guys stay right here.
You have crossed into the world of the dead in search of answers.
Amongst the Azeroth elite, there is a group that defies convention. A group that stands in the face of trolls and doesn't flinch. A group that strives on unity, trust, and unwavering resolve. A group that eats tacos. For the players, by the players, we bring you. She can start a revolt with a Chaos Bolt. Bell, the PWNCAST Vanguard. The wolves whose howl can signal death's coming, Lycan. Snap back and get faster for the pet battle Grandmaster, Gemma Banks. He's sharp as a dagger with that dapper swagger, Secret Sauce. We bow to no one. We are Legion. We are PWNCAST.
Well, it's that time again, guys. We haven't done this in a while where I've kept them muted in the beginning of the show. So I feel like I owe it to you guys to just have an intimate moment with just, me and you, and, just connect really one-on-one, meditate even, and not dabbing. I guess I can unmute them now. They're unruly men.
So are we unmuted now?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Mm-hmm.
But
I was saying bye, like I'm gonna go. Maybe make my bed or something.
But welcome back, guys. I did bring the Writers Rohan with me. I did bring the monk who is studying to get his master's in pet battling, Gemma Banks. What?
This would have been the best episode to have those glasses. I could have put them on and pushed them up a little bit, right? I've just been researching.
That was stereotyping just a little bit.
Oh, very much so. Well, I mean, two guys on our show with glasses, two very smart gentlemen. I mean, it's an accurate stereotype,
two guys
right?
with hats.
Two guys with hats.
I had glasses at one point.
Yeah, that LASIK, right?
I did.
Yeah, just been studying just like companion pets, like what expansion and kind of like going back. So it's cool. A lot of research and just finding different things that I did not know.
Is this so that when people ask you, hey, what expansion was this pet introduced? Is that so just so that you can kind of just sharpen your wheelhouse of knowledge?
No, couldn't think of what to talk about for segments. So I was just like... Last week was Vanilla Pets. This week is Burning Crusade. So
there was not another reason.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to ask me that question. And off the top,
surprised.
I'm sure I can answer for most. But even just like looking at dates for the trading card game pets and stuff is pretty cool.
There you go.
Would be super shocked the questions that people ask us individually when they think that, we know a lot of things, guys. I know a lot of random shit that I should never know about this game. But sometimes I have to say, I really don't know the answer to that. So, but at least you're gathering your knowledge, so you're really taking this being the Pet Battle Master serious. So I appreciate that. Good to know. It's a fun party trivia thing too, to just randomly whip out knowledge in between everybody taking shots of tequila. Is to just be like, hey, did you know this pet came out in 2003.
It'd be hilarious if I was all
Too
drunk.
much tequila can make that very interesting.
The magical crawdad, guys. You don't understand. The magical crawdad.
And you end up on a stage talking about things you shouldn't after too much
Yeah.
tequila.
With the microphone.
Turn down for what?
Lessons learned for this next coming BlizzCon for sure.
Buy here a drink.
The mic time will definitely be limited in the Bell Land of Detroit.
Gonna kill her.
But it's kind of... And then we had Daddy Remedies, who was making sure that Belle didn't do anything that she wasn't supposed to. Who needs your husband to go anywhere with you when you got your bestie just making sure you're staying out of trouble?
You have Tio watching everybody.
And we
then
did. We had Daddy Tio making sure everybody was hydrated. He was handling business and just really making it happen with the water. He was the water and food guy, making sure everybody
Water
was.
boy.
Well, and buying everyone shots.
Yeah, I know he wasn't helping the situation. Shout out to that honey Patron, though. Anyway, moving on. I did bring the priest who is very, very close to knowing how to balance his power, Secret Sauce.
Ooh, that's right. Yeah, I was gonna go back and do it this week, but you can only go down once, and I could have got carried through heroic, but I didn't want to, so I could wait another 24 hours. It's not a big deal.
I need, I'm at 21 of 30 of the corrupted essences that you need for that.
It's only
Emerald
20.
Nightmare.
No.
It's only 20.
I have 21
For
of 30.
the shards?
No, the very first part of it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's not even the Nighthold, it's the Emerald Nightmare.
You might as well
Which
just
is odd
stop
because
the
I
podcast
still
and go
need
do it while you're at
those.
it.
We aren't raiding in Emerald Nightmare anymore, and you guys know how I feel about pugs because pugs are assholes. I'm just not about that life. But I'm going to have no choice because I want that.
Don't you
I
label
want
all
that.
pugs, okay? Pugs have been assholes.
99.9.999
Not
and
accurate.
3/4% of pugs are assholes.
No,
What are you talking about? My pug pet's pretty cool.
very perky.
I did also bring the paladin who finally unlocked his epic mount in real life. It is a velociraptor. Remedies?
It's not a velociraptor, but close enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the story I was telling to everybody while you were buying your car was you were buying a
He
velociraptor.
just bought a volley bear.
What is it called? A who?
It's the Hyundai Veloster.
See, velociraptor. How was I wrong?
Close
Right.
enough, I guess, you know?
Well,
Especially
we-
coming from you,
It
Phil.
is like the Epic Mountain game though.
We were
It's
on
so
Zoom
much
with him while he
quicker
was at the
than-
dealership, and it's a
Yeah.
hatchback, right? And my concern is there's only one door for the back, right? One little door. But it's not a concern to me because I'm the bestie. I ride in the front seat. Everybody else is going to have to get through that tiny door to get in the back seat.
What do we do if it's you and Tio? Like, he can't fit in the back.
I mean,
Yeah, can he'll sit right in the middle like this.
I know. Arguably, my ass can't fit in the back. So, the front half will go in, but the second half is not going in.
No,
It's
you're
gonna-
fine in the back.
Tio's going to have to
You're
rotate
like
me.
5'1". You're
He's
fine.
going to have to just rotate me like a key to fit me in the back seat because that's just going to how. That's. Oh, guys, it's a rough life being a girl,
It's the hard knock life.
pretty much.
Or,
Well, guys, I'm glad you're here. I feel like we don't get enough FaceTime, right? I feel like
I would say that's very true.
I don't
Like
have
us.
an iPhone, so I don't get any FaceTime.
True story.
unless
You mean us, right?
Unless I Facebook butt dial you, which has happened today, in fact. I was like, oh, just kidding. I meant to message you and it started
Oh, is that
calling.
what that was?
Yeah, it was really, it's, because the
Like,
Facebook
what?
calling feature, it's very scary in your ear, and I had my earbuds in because I was on a work call. I had just gotten off a work call. So it's really evasive in your ears. It's very, shocking when you think you're texting and it turns out you're
Your butt dialing?
hip dialing, I guess would be the proper term. So,
Yeah.
now, I want to tell you guys that I know I've been talking about putting videos of 7.2 content on the YouTube channel, and I'm really glad that I have not actually finished the videos because there have been so many changes. The bulk of it being to artifact stuff. So I'm really, really happy that, I have all the data compiled. I just have to update it. But I've been waiting till it's closer, till they've just kind of fine-tuned things before I hit you guys with that video content. Bellular Gaming does a lot of really good stuff, so I encourage you guys to go check out. This guy literally, he puts out content quicker than I could even go to the bathroom. But I will be doing, Belle's version of stuff I put on the YouTube channel once we get closer to it being more fine-tuned. So just wanted to let you guys know that. But there is a lot of stuff that was added, and I wanted to.
What?
I wanted to
Yes.
break down a couple things. We're going to talk about the Ian Hazacostas Q&A a little bit later, but I wanted to talk about the. Oh, and I needed to correct myself. So the golden trait dragons are not the Paragon traits. The last trait, which is your pumping
Oh, well,
that
yeah, the
everything
0.5.
past. Yeah, the 0.5.
Yeah.
That is what the Paragon trait is called. Now, I want to apologize. Thank you for who corrected me on the YouTube channel. I did, in all of my research, it was never called the Paragon trait in anything. So I had no idea what the hell.
I think I got caught up on my comments today, actually.
Going
I didn't read them all
dispensers.
week. I think that was the homie Niels on Medivh.
Well, and keep
Maybe.
in mind that my data, guys, I deal very little with Wowhead. And the reason being is because Wowhead data mines, I deal with my data in-game. I don't go and regurgitate what I see on Wowhead. I actually physically go through the stuff that we talk about. I was in PTR for half the day today. Don't tell my boss.
Boss, she was busy
busted.
in PTR.
But I physically go through these things because I like to make sure I know what I'm talking about, and I just don't want to spout bullshit that I see elsewhere on the internet. Even though it's data mined, it doesn't make it real, and it doesn't mean, that the data mined information is not always correct. So nowhere
Oh,
did
it
I
always
see
is.
Paragon anywhere, so I just wanted to apologize about that. But the Paragon reputation, so we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Once you've exalted I think it's 2,000 reputation, you get the cachet for it, and that each rep gives you a different, there's something different in there. Now, something super fucking cool is you do have a chance to actually get a mount for each faction, which is legit.
Say what?
Right? Because that's
Yeah,
adding
that's
just
pretty dope.
another layer of RNG. Now, at this point, I don't know if it's guaranteed. So, like your very first one, or I don't know
Nah.
what the drop rate is because that is not confirmed. But I'm assuming we could probably guess it's going to be RNG.
You have to farm at least 10.
Which, this is smart on Blizzard's part, because some people will be like, well, why do I even care about getting anything out of these caches? What if there's nothing in there that's good for me? Well, now
That's
you
not the
have
point.
now you have a reason, because you have a mount that you can farm. So the mount, they have the High Mountain Elderhorn, which is your typical Elderhorn, but it looks pretty legit. You have your Valajar Stormwing, which is basically those storm dragons, those storm drakes that you see when you're
And I
Right.
want that
in
so bad.
Stormheim. They have the
So bad.
Cloudwing Hippogriff,
So
which
bad.
that's for Azuna, which, hello,
Yeah.
Court of Ferondis, I'm excited because I love hippogriffs. The Wild Dream Runner for Dreamweavers for Val'Shara, which is the unicorn, guys.
Oh,
The unicorn
nice.
is a mount. The fans demanded it. The Blizzard fans took to the forums and
Yeah.
said, please let us.
I mean,
They wanna
another one of
tame
their
them
games has
and
a
they wanna ride
unicorn,
them.
Just saying.
Yeah. They want to tame
Sounds
them
more
and they want to
majestic
ride
stuff.
them. So now they get, I don't know about taming them, but they can ride them, which is pretty
Right.
freaking amazing. And then, hashtag fan favorite for Suramar, aka Nightfallen, you have the chance to get the Leywoven Flying Carpet, which it's very Nightfallen in nature as far as the colors go. So,
Well, that's kind of cool though too, because before just tailors could only have carpet. Now
Yeah.
everyone
First
can.
mount that everyone can use.
and it's exciting because it's Suramar stuff. Now, remember,
Yeah.
do your missions for the rep tokens. Do them now all the way up until. So if you have a mission in your mission table for the the 250 reputation, keep it, throw it in your bank. Whenever you get
Shit.
those tokens, if it drops, whatever the case may be, keep it and put it in your bank so that you can use it when 7.2 hits, and you could get those Paragon reputations really quickly. I have
Can
like
you-
13.
Can you confirm that it actually works?
So they have not said that does not count past 7.2. The only thing that they have said is do not stockpile artifact power. So your AP tokens, you have to use those. But they have, it was even in comments on a couple different forums, MMO Champion, stating that it is okay, like people that have tested in PTR, that it's okay to stockpile those. I can confirm that when I copied my tune in PTR, that I did have those tokens and they were usable. So, as of this moment,
So the caches, are they weekly blocked, or you can just farm
just
2K like
your
every
little
day?
heart's content, as many 2Ks
Okay.
as you can get. It's your little bitty heart's content, which is great.
Yeah, because in that way you can keep the Kieran Tor tokens as well.
Yes, for sure. So make sure you guys are keeping your tokens. If you get those missions for the random reputation tokens, take them, put them in your bank, save them. That's gold. And there's going to be tons of stuff that's dropping from those boxes that you get for the different reputations. So,
Right.
especially the Wardens, because the Wardens is the hardest out of all the reputations to kind of acquire, just because it's not attached to a specific zone.
Rep,
So yeah, so definitely just be on the head of the curve, and you're also, remember, we talked about last week that you're saving up all your resources. You want to save up all your resources because you're going to need 50k resources to be able to do your order hall advancements. So it's going to be super important for you guys.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
And save your Blood of Sargeras if you're not using them for anything. Your Blood of Sargeras so that you can buy order resources. I feel like I missed a joke there. Was I a butt of a joke there?
No, because I keep saying I'm gonna do, world quests, and I never do. So
No, you're just a butt.
You just did 200 of them on your priest. I know
that's why I don't want to do anymore.
Right.
And yes, this carpet, Belle, looks. I respect Sir Amar just for this carpet. That's it.
I've been riding around on my Gul'dan mount, the mount you get for killing Gul'dan. Like, it's my favorite mount ever. The Mana Saber.
Oh, the Arcanist, yeah.
I love the Mana Saber. It is literally, like, I feel so...
I thought you meant you got the mount that he drops.
Oh, no, I'm
accident.
not that good, no.
Well, no, it's just a pure RNG thing.
Oh, is it RNG? Well, my RNG sucks. All my alts have great RNG. It's just my main that's just the worst. I don't...
And the unicorn looks good, too. I dig it.
It's pretty... Guys, I'm so excited for this.
You dig it.
So... I guess we'll talk about
It's
that.
so funny.
That's
Remedy
be a
says
topic
stuff
of
that I
conversation.
think sometimes. Sorry
He
to cut you off.
He says
all the
stuff that you
time.
think?
Yeah, even pre-show, just the couple things. Yeah, keep
So
going,
let's
my
talk
bad.
about the artifact weapon and what it means for 7.2. So the empowered traits, basically players with 35 traits or more receive a quest in patch 7.2 to empower your artifact weapon. We've talked about this for a couple episodes now. When the quest line is complete, you unlock those new artifact traits, and you get the master... I don't know, is it artificer? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not...
You
Try
got
it again.
right.
Artificer? Master Artificer is an achievement, basically saying you've unlocked all the things, you're amazing. The 20-point infinite trait, providing damage and stamina, turns into 2 separate traits, which I have a video that I have to redo part of that video because the data has changed, where I was highlighting all the weapons with the new traits. And that's going to be into 2 separate traits. There's a new empowered set of traits plus that trait. All of your original rank or traits that had 3 ranks will now be expanded to 4 ranks. So you'll have 4 additional, you'll have 1 additional that you can put into each of your rank 3 maxed out traits, which is nice because that gives you an additional percentage off whatever that trait does for you, which is really nice. Once again, we talked about you cannot use stockpiled AP items on any of your empowered, once your artifacts empowered, you cannot use those. The artifact power spent on the original trait, so whatever you've got in there past 35, it's going to be refunded. So you can choose to spend that for your extra ranks of your 4 or the new empowered traits, which is pretty nice that they give you that option. The cost of traits from 37 onwards is much steeper going into 7.2. So I think overall those are really super positive changes. And what this means for those who don't really understand the breakdown, your weapon is infinite after this moment. You can continue pumping into your weapon and into those 2, they split up into 2 traits. You can just
What do you guys think about that?
I think that they're making sure that you always have a goal until the end of the expansion. We have so many people that are maxing stuff out because they grind, they want to be finished, right? You want to be done,
Right.
You want to have an end game. I think that they're just giving people constant ways of working to be able to do what they need to do, and I respect
So you like
that
it
they're
then?
doing it. I don't dislike it because it's giving those people who don't have who have the time to be able to do it to put into
I didn't
it.
have a strong opinion either way, but I was watching Asmongold when I heard that. I wrote in chat too, and he said he hates it because he's a completionist.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's difficult because it's open. It's open-ended.
Yeah, right. So that's why I was asking.
That was great.
Players that acquire the new rank 8 for the Order Hall, we talked about the new Order Hall advancement, which is the Relic Empowerment. This allows you to have 2 traits on your Relic. Now, every Relic will have 2 traits instead of 1. So this is all 3 of your Relics, guys. The second trait is randomized, so you don't get to choose the trait, it's just random. The second trait is also a throughput trait, which I called Remedies on the phone earlier and was like, I don't understand. Are they saying damage? Are they saying this is a damage trait? I'm pretty smart, but some of this technical stuff, this is for you elitists. This isn't really for Bella. It's not my get down. And then the second trait cannot be a repeat of the first trait. So this made me really happy.
That would be gross if like it stacked the same
Yeah.
initial trait. Like healing or flash heal
super unbalanced in a lot of aspects, I feel.
60%. Please. I mean, I'd like that because I use flash heal all the time.
So I like that they're putting into it. Now, I want to do a little bit of a 2-second theory craft and say we're pretty far into the expansion, wouldn't you say?
A little bit.
Why would you have us keep putting into our weapon? What do you think that would be for? If we're pretty far into the
Do you
expansion...
have something right there? You keep touching right there.
Like, that's my thinking, when you think. Like, you
That's
think.
his-
I mean, I don't think like that. Some people do. This also means something in sign language. Those of you that speak sign language will know what that means.
I don't remember. Stupid.
So, why do you suppose they're having us put even more and more into our weapon with an expansion that we've been in since August now? This
Yeah, I'm not
patch,
sure
we're
about
probably
we're at
looking.
the end of it. That's
We're
why.
probably looking March or April, but why? Why would you have us put more into a weapon that we're at the end of? We're not going to be using our weapon in the next expansion. Or are we really at the end of the expansion?
We're not.
Like, I feel this just tells us that there is a lot more that we were not told about this expansion in its entirety.
The game is going to turn into like how Diablo is, how it's just dailies, and I think if they do it that way, and then this is like super theory crafting, like beyond theory crafting.
This is like, get the
How-
fuck out of here, theory crafting. That is not the
No.
business.
So, okay, we're already doing world quests. We already have emissary caches. So in Diablo, you can knock out or basically your zone or your chapter caches, and then you could turn the game off and go back in, and they reset. So as weird as it sounds, they could actually go that route if the artifact's going to continue into the next expansion, and then that's how you're going to get AP if you want to go that route.
That was my second part of the wondering if that was a possibility.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's good that you did that, because that is part of what I was wondering, if that's what you guys were thinking. I know they have said that we're not taking these weapons into the next expansion, but how do we know?
They could say that the game's over and we beat it, and no one's gonna believe it. So
To me, this just is a way to make players still play content that's been
And then
out
here
forever.
comes...
Sure.
No,
Where
I'm
did
serious,
you
I
see
don't-
that?
It's just like, keep them entertained. Last expansion, let's shove gold down our throats because we're sitting in our garrisons a lot, right? So this isn't as good as gold, but it's, like I said, Asmongold being a completionist, or if Remedies was just obsessive like that, he's gonna log in so he has more traits than Secret Sauce because he's.
And he will.
I respect the hat, but I
Well-
have to tell you, I feel like there is something bigger at play.
Well, we
And
all hope.
Well,
For
and
sure.
maybe that is what it is. Maybe it's just me hoping that there's something bigger at play, and hoping that there's a divine reason for what they're doing. I feel like we might be prepped for a big battle, perhaps.
No,
Um,
I agree with that, because you can't. This is Blizzard. This game has been out for over 10 years. They've had some bad expansions, and the Legion, for example, has been a really great expansion, but it's been very time consuming as well in terms of how Warlords was, Mr. Pandaria was. It was quicker and easier accessible to get what you wanted back then, where now the grind is real, and I'm one of those people that don't want to do it, but I still
You'll play
the game
another
because
character,
Yeah, I'll
probably.
play
Then
another
get an
character. I
extra
still love
20,
the game.
right?
I can't do it on Secret Sauce because I don't want to use the term burnt out, but I just hate doing the same quest over.
It's
and
boring.
over.
It's
Yeah, and I literally get on to raid and do a couple mythics, and then I get off because I can't do it. I don't want to do it.
Me and Rem are just ride or die. Like, we are rolling alts and gearing them and legendarying them, and we are just doing the business on all of them. But that's just the way that I keep myself in, is to just, and I need to know about other classes, so rolling alts and
Yeah,
leveling them
and
helps me.
I want to do it. I really do. Like, I look at my list of alts when I log in, and I'm just like, I want to level you, but I just can't.
I Netflix and level. Honestly, me and Rem, I just throw on Netflix and we just level. We hammer out. We get halfway level one night and halfway to 110 the other night.
Rem
But
and
it's different. It's different strokes
That's
for
right.
different folks. Like, it's different. It's
Heyo.
different for everyone. And on the subject of stroking, just kidding. You guys are dirty little.
You are the dirtiest.
I feel like I lost my whole train. I was going to say something and it was going to be
Oh,
amazing.
you don't say.
People have been saying that this is the end all of expansions, that this expansion's killing WoW as we know it because of so much things that we're doing and the direction that the lore is taking it, that we're literally coming on to end game things. Here's what I can tell people that are afraid of that. World of Warcraft is in its prime, guys. This is its prime. Everybody thinks vanilla was its prime. No, vanilla was not its prime. This is the prime time. People have never been more involved in the World of Warcraft community than they are today. From
True.
content creators and YouTube and Twitch launching us into the digital age with people being able to have more access to information besides a forum or a blog. We're in our prime here. WoW is not anywhere close to being on any sort of level complete.
No.
It might evolve and change, as things typically do. Hopefully it doesn't evolve into a pay-to-play, and we're good. But I think we're here for a while, and we don't really have to worry about that because we're their moneymaker, and they need, not us specifically because we don't make them shit, but...
Well, we'll know at BlizzCon,
Well,
too,
they make a
or
little
as
bit of money off me alone.
Right.
Yeah, they made plenty of money off of me, so.
Yeah, who are we kidding? They're rich. off of
Now-
you.
But no, you have to consider the development team is the biggest it's ever been.
And they're
So-
adding to it, and they're moving people around. There's inner working parts that are moving that we don't see. New stuff. We just don't even know, man.
Well, they're going to announce the next expansion at
Well,
BlizzCon or before BlizzCon.
I
Like,
don't.
there was a new expansion.
And that's you bring up a good point, Gemma. Because are they? Do you feel like they're going to announce a new expansion?
I
Not
say,
necessarily at BlizzCon, because sometimes the hype is before that or whatever, and they're very strategic as they release the information. But we're gonna have another expansion, in my opinion. I can't see.
Oh,
us
I
not
do know
having
that for sure. But
so
do you
many-
think that they would be ready this BlizzCon to talk about an expansion they're working on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they're
I do.
easily ready for it, but they're not going to yet.
Well,
What if
remember
the
when we-
idea for mini expansions came into play? I wonder if Blizzard has ever thought, okay, we do this big, ever-changing, huge expansions. What if they did a mini expansion that I would call a connector? If I were to talk about this in front of Blizzard and all their staff, I would call it a connector. It would
So
be
it
the
only
little
costs $40 instead of 60.
No, it would be like a mini expansion that would be just stuff that you're going through to get you from here to here. We already do that in game because we have end of game content and we have beginning of game. What if they stopped doing of that and they did mini expansions, stuff in between that's similar to a patch but on
That's
a very
not
large
a bad
scale,
idea,
right?
but you got to also remember how epic the lead up was to Legion and how much is in Legion.
And how
so
much better would a mini expansion be to lead
yeah,
up to
because
the
it would
next
come out
expansion?
quicker.
It's just a
Oh,
thought.
they already
Blizz-
tried that with Cataclysm.
Blizzard doesn't listen to us. Remedy's linked me a thing where Holinka talked about he listens to lots of podcasts, and I'm like, well, we ain't one of those podcasts, so I'm okay with that. But Blizzard, if you are listening, what about a mini expansion, an in-between, a segue, if you will? The events that we do for the end of the expansion are okay. And I'm going to say
Segues are
that
for nerds.
I'm going to say the term okay
Segues are
because
for Target.
the end of the expansion events are not really mind-blowing. They're not really
They haven't been, no.
they're great and we appreciate the effort, but there's something really like super special about them. I don't know what I'm saying here, guys. I went on
Well, no, you do. I mean, in a
No, you're
way,
going- you're going on the right
we
path.
kind of get that with the updates and the different raids. And I think, and again, you've said it so many times, just make sure more content or a new expansion is out so we don't have to sit in the same raid for a
Yeah.
year, which is not even just it's the community has said
Keep
that.
your
so,
evergreen content flowing up until the last wheel falls off this bitch, because I don't want to be sitting, and as much as I love the Nighthold, I don't want to be in the Nighthold for the next... Well,
Right.
Tomb of Sargeras, I guess, would be the follow-up.
yeah,
to
that's
that
why I
one.
asked like a couple months ago, is Nighthold the last raid? And you guys confirmed no.
All I know
so-
is if they don't add South Seas and Cool Terrace before they kill the game, I will kill them. So there's that.
Whoa, you hear that, Blizzard?
Wow, now
Memories
you're
will come
threatening
for
them.
you.
Good job. Good job. Okay. So,
Cool Terrace, seriously,
PvP in 7.2. Guys.
You guys dueled?
No, let's talk about brawls. PvP brawls. So, PvP brawls are going to be... Different maps are going to have different wacky things that happen. Like, Eye of the Storm is going to have its gravity, where
Right.
the flag carrier is weighted down and all the other players are up in the
Like
air.
slower?
No, like they're up in the air.
What?
Gravity, not slow motion. Gravity.
Keep going, Belle. I'm interrupting. Continue.
But gravity is different than slow motion, Jim.
I know. That's why I'm changing the subject because I sounded dumb.
He said slower.
Well, you said
Well,
weight
with more
weight
grabs,
down.
you
said
become
weight down.
slower. So
Guys, let her get through
So the other players will be up in the air, and the flag carriers will be weighted. That was really great.
It's really dumb. Blooper reel. That's weird.
So what's going to happen is I called Rem because I was trying to make sure that I was accurate. I was looking for stuff on the PvP brawls. I tried to get in there and do it. It was a 54-minute queue, and I still was not in there. I think they might have stopped it on the 17th. I'm not 100% sure, but they allowed me to queue for it. So it shows up under Ashran in your where you queue for PvP, and I think what they're going to do is rotate it out either weekly or maybe every couple of days. They're going to rotate a different battleground with a different, brawl, essentially. So it isn't going to be part of your regular, what is so motherfucking funny.
Remedies
You're fine.
has
Keep
an
going.
idea for the name
Keep
of the
going.
show. Yeah,
You're
it's
good.
nothing.
I can't
Nothing to do
open
with
the chat because it
That's
makes...
why we're doing it.
Okay. So, they have several different versions of things that happen that will happen on different maps. This will not be part of your regular random battleground experience. This will be a separate queue down at the bottom of your queue box, and I don't know what the rotation's going to be, if it's going to be every other day or if it's going to be weekly, but you'll be able to queue into that. I plan on the next time they open it for testing jumping in there to see what it's all about, but I did see some... I think I've seen Bellular Gaming did a video on it, because of course this guy beats me for everything, because I have actual...
What's his job?
He does it for a
better be-
living, and I have a job. I have a
Right.
job and 5 kids, so I don't get
Right.
to the content. But he's amazing. I watch all his videos. That's what
well,
helps me.
6 including dark.
That's what... God damn, you're so right. You've never spoken the truth in your life more than you have right this moment.
I want
to play
Overwatch.
PvP, the PvP side of things has been really super quiet. Holinka's been kind of, he's been really quiet. I feel like he's focused in his office. He's really trying to make us happy here, and I love him for that. So basically, a blue post went out. After continued discussion as well as player feedback, we decided not to go ahead with the changes we had planned for patch 7.2. That includes the healer change that he had spoke about earlier. We're going to go over that in a second, as well as the rest of the changes that the original post mentioned. We recognize that there's a problem, especially in world PvP right now, and we need to find ways to make improvements there, but these changes would have been far too disruptive to balance an instance PvP. So the changes they were talking about making were players now deal 40% less damage to other players. What? Players now have 25% less stamina in PvP instances. That makes sense. Players now have 20% more agility, intellect, and strength in PvP instances, and they included healer intellect, reducing healer intellect by 35% in PvP. Let me tell you what happened when these changes were posted. Nope.
You freaked out.
No, I didn't freak out. The whole
the
community that was in PTR was
internet?
testing and was like, fuck you, fuck your couch, we don't want that. So... Once again, when people say Blizzard doesn't listen, they do. And that's the reason they have PTR, guys. They have it to test so that you don't have to worry about that. But this is great. They realized some of that 40% less damage to other players. I don't know what that even means.
I want to see big numbers,
Do you know how long
bros.
that fight would take?
I know, I don't even... Well...
They said they shrink our stamina.
So what they're
too.
doing is they're taking your damage and then just reducing that, but then they're also reducing your health or your armor because of stamina, and so they're balancing it around to where the stats actually help you hit harder.
Well, I think
it doesn't make any sense in terms of what they did, though.
I think what we can expect is huge PvP focus, and I'm going to tell you why. So, Lore, when
Because you told them.
I rewatched.
Episodes ago.
I know I told them to get their shit together, right? I'm glad they're listening. But I rewatched the Q&A with Ian, which we're going to go over that in a second. I rewatched it, and Laura had said, in a couple weeks we're going to have Brian Holinka on, and we're going to talk. He's going to have some esports announcements for 2017. Imagine a world where esports, that is all PvP. So I think those of you that do PvP or in the PvP community can expect a lot of focus to go this direction, which a lot of the player base has always complained that PvP has gone largely unattended, right? They spend months with things unbalanced and shit, and they spend months just not paying attention to it because in the whole of the way that they feel like PvE and all the other things that they have going on, just PvP, you tweak one number and the whole balance is just screwed.
Right.
So I think with a big announcement coming our way, which I think we already know the majority of what that announcement is. They want to have more tourneys throughout the year. They really want to put a big focus on WoW esports, which, hallelujah, I'm in. I'll watch all of it. So that's great for me. But I think it's good to know that they're not going to have a choice but to focus on PvP because the play is going to be all over the world, even more
Yeah.
so with them going into the esports arena. So I'm excited to see what the announcement's going to be from Holika, and I'm pretty sure I could probably poke and prod and find it, but we'll wait till the official stuff. But I thought that was kind of cool. They are looking at doing some tweaks and changes, and as they kind of roll out some of the changes, I will go in and test, as well as go in and test the PvP brawls, which I've been trying. But the queue for anything in PTR is like an hour, and I have time, but I don't got that kind of time to just sit there for an hour. And I guess I could dual monitor PTR and live, I guess, in level or something. So I'm probably just complaining for nothing.
A little bit.
That's a long queue to test it, you know.
Yeah.
When
It
you're
is.
on there specifically to test it and you got to wait forever, like...
Before we talk about one of the huge things for PTR, which is going to be some changes made to legendaries, I want to talk about, because that's going to be a topic of discussion as well. But I do want to talk about first, let's give a breakdown of what Ian talked about during the Q&A. What I do appreciate is I see Ian totally loosening up, and you could tell that he's becoming very comfortable in his new role. And whereas before, being in the public wasn't really like his situation, he's super not, into public speaking, and he does it at BlizzCon, but that's not really kind of his cup of tea. But it's nice to see him at these Q&As, and you could see he's just super comfortable in his skin now. And he's really
His remedies are Ian?
I think so. So they talked about, one of the things that they asked was,
Less smart Ian.
are there any plans to make the Balance of Power skins account wide, which we talked about this, I want to say the last episode, or
We've talked about it.
if not, can we expect to see a future alt catch-up mechanic? It's intended to be a per-character reward, so we currently do not plan to make it account-wide. That said, we've recently increased the drop rate of corrupted essences significantly in Emerald Nightmare. Now's the time for me to go in.
Let's do it.
To the point where it no longer takes several months to finish that step, and instead can be completed in just a few weeks. Drop rates in Nighthold are already very high, so alts should be able to catch up very quickly. As the expansion continues, we'll keep an eye on it and make additional changes as it becomes necessary. So while they're saying, and I agree, I complained about the Balance of Power last week and said I would like it to be account-wide, but when I think about it, it's for your weapon, and it really should be something personal that you should have to grind on your other tunes if you really choose to have it. Because it's an appearance, and typically people are only concerned with an appearance on their main, right? You're not really
Right.
concerned with having all the appearances on your alt. So when I spoke about it last week, I wasn't in the right frame of mind.
My only problem with that is because the last three in that row are locked behind Balance of Power. That's my only problem with it.
Yeah. Because I've done the second one already, and I can't get it because I got to do Balance Power.
Yeah, for sure.
That part's
then,
stupid.
yeah, but then on top of that too, like, let's say prior to going live on the show, you're still doing the corrupted essences, and you have to do that in normal or higher. So are they going to change that again, like we talked about?
Yeah, that
I
was
don't know
the
why
other.
they haven't.
That was the other thing we talked about, right? And nobody asked him that question. Nobody asked, "Hey,
I
can
don't
you
know
make
why
this
they're not.
LFR?" Because
Because it's
all
embarrassing.
because
No, but that's how it was before. That's what happened with
Yeah.
in Hellfire. You did everything in except the last boss. You had to do
All the stuff for
Archon.
the previous
Yeah.
legendaries was LFR was okay, and I'm not saying because I've been lazy and haven't done normal.
no, but it's
it
not
should
about
all be
that.
LFR.
Not everybody does raids though, so they should be able
that's
to
what I'm
have.
saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. For not even for alts, just for slackers like you and I, Bell, who just haven't completed the corrupted essence.
And I think it
got
is
those.
unfair to ask players who are not raiders to try to pug into a normal situation. I do think that's a little bit asinine on Blizzard's part if I am going to call them out on just that one thing, because you are correct. We have been able to LFR and increase our chances if we do the other difficulties, right? You get a lot quicker if you do the other difficulties. But I think
that's something that they're going to rework it.
I hope so.
Well, they're going to have to, because you're going to have a lot of, there's a giant population of WoW players that don't raid.
That's why
And
they made
so-
LFR.
yeah. Right. So they're essentially taking away
Guys,
all
I
these
have
players.
to say though, devil's advocate here, in looking in my mind's eye, I was looking at my artifact weapon with all its appearances. I have to tell you that really isn't asinine of Blizzard, because people don't have to raid to get that appearance, just like they don't have to PvP to get the PvP appearance. So I kind of spoke out of a turn or spoke a little bit from not paying attention to the bigger picture. So if you guys think about it, we have the 4 tiers, right? We have the 4 different options we could have for our visuals with the colors unlocked for in each of those 4 sets. So asking people to raid in normal if you want that, you're already raiding because that specific set is specific to higher end kind of things. Because I think one of them is you have to be the Legion. I think you have to do the Legion Raider, Glory of the Legion Raider. Like it's geared towards higher end stuff for PvE,
Right.
specifically for raiding. They're not really out of pocket for asking you to do normal because that whole set is kind of higher end. So I'm going to have to redact my previous statement because they wouldn't expect people to not PvP for the
Unleashed
PvE.
monstrosities is not hard to do, though.
For some
Oh yeah, because you're
people-
saying the corrupted essence isn't like mandatory for your quest anyway. It's for
yeah,
it's for,
and so it's not something that they're not really asking.
yeah. So
much.
the comparison that I made
And-
wasn't the right one.
I agree, though, that I do think it should still be LFR, so that I do agree with that because not
Right.
everybody has a raid team per se. So I do agree with that, but I made a statement that they were asinine for that, but then I realized they're not really because
Whoa! What happened to Bell?
well, I was just thinking
And-
about it in my mind, and I was like, well, but they're asking PvPers to PvP only for their view. Why shouldn't raiders have to
Right.
do normal only? And then
Yeah,
it-
that's fair.
but
Well,
it-
and I was comparing it to the legendary quest chain, which wasn't the best comparison either for
But it
that.
was fun,
Isn't it
though.
dungeon achievements, though, not raid?
it's
It's
the
dungeon
Legion of the Dungeon Hero or whatever.
So those are just mythics.
Yeah, you have to do, but you have to do it the achievements in the dungeon. It's not just doing mythics;
Right.
you have to do the achievements. So you need a group of people that's willing to actually do the achievements that you need. So it's not technically
True.
that easy because not everybody listens to commands when they're being.
You just
told
get a
something.
couple Donalds and you can have at it.
But I do think I do think they should revisit it though. I think if you're going to offer it for normal, you should offer it for LFR.
Right.
I do agree with that. I made a statement that was mean and I shouldn't have because
Well, that's fair.
it's not their fault. Now, what's the reason behind making the second trait on relics another layer of RNG? Ian says it actually opens up a lot of options for relics to be valuable compared to the alternative of designating 2 traits for each relic. If the traits were pre-selected, you'd likely only have 1 or 2 relic drops you really wanted, and others would be considered basically like your suboptimal ones. By randomly assigning a second trait, every relic drop has a chance to have your favorite trait. Note that the second trait will always be throughput oriented, so basically it will increase your DPS, your healing, or your survivability. So if you're a tank, you're going to have better survivability with that secondary trait, or if you're a healer, you'll have better healing. So I think that there is actually pretty cool because it does make it where you're not hunting one specific relic. You might for the first trait, right? But any relic can drop a secondary that's exactly what you need. So I think I agree with that, and I appreciate that the secondary trait is something that you need for your damage or your tanking or your healing. Like it's there for that specific purpose. So please, Blizzard, do not give me any bullshit trait that has anything to do with versatility. You can fuck off right now. I don't want anything to do with that. Thank God versatility and those kind of things are not a part of the traits because
Versatility is so good.
if they were a part of the relics, I would have versatility on all my fucking relics because that's
Probably.
what Blizzard keeps they like to give me versatility on everything. Fuck off. Any
It's a
plans?
versatile stat, though.
Ugh, your mom. Any plans for reducing the large barrier to spec swapping presented by legendaries? Currently in patch 7.1, your chance to receive a legendary is based on the total number of legendaries you've already got. In patch 7.2, we are changing that algorithm that only count legendaries with bonuses that apply to your spec. So if a fire mage with pyroblast bracers and a scorch belt, you'll have a significantly higher chance to receive a legendary when your loot specialization is set to frost than you do currently. In this talk about legendaries, I gotta tell you, Ian made a statement that made me love and respect him. He said, and I'm pretty sure we'll get to that question down here, or no, we probably won't because I don't think it's on this summary. So in talking about legendaries, where they constantly are talking about when are you going to get my tuna legendary, when are you going to increase the drop chance, blah, blah, blah. The question he addressed specifically is raid leads benching their raiders for not getting a legendary or not getting their best in slot legendary. He said, my question to you, and I don't think that this would be a good idea for the betterment of your progression raid team, is to bench a highly skilled and qualified player for your raid team because they don't have their legendary or they don't have the legendary you want them to have. Are you really willing to give up a spot on your raid team for somebody who's been raiding and who's very skilled just because they don't have the specific legendary, right? This is a legendary, guys. This isn't some fucking random shit you can farm and get. It's a legendary. So when he said that, I was in the kitchen, I was making lunch, and I was like, yes! He said what I had been feeling about these people that get benched.
We just talked about on the last show.
Yeah, they get benched from a raid team because they don't have their best in slot legendary. And he said, as a raid lead, do you really think it's smart to bench one of your really good players who's very skilled and highly qualified?
Bench you all the time.
There's a lot of people that said yes, but you got to understand. So for you, you're happy because your guild is not just, you're not recruiting for the raid specifically. They've got a home, and if they want to raid, they try out for the raid team and they're part of it. But for the other people, there's raid leaders that were like, yeah, I will bench this, because they don't know everybody. It's not a family friend thing always. So
Some of those raid teams though are very long in length. They're guys that have been raiding together for a really long time.
Right.
And not even that, but if you got a player who's like amazing with mechanics and knows his role and just really like Ian's point was you're gonna bench him because he doesn't have the best in slot legendary. He's got the second version of your legendary. He just put it in perspective that nobody